The guy in the ascot is Bruce the Blog.
It's not an ascot, by the way. But anyhow, and he's Bazzo, and you're watching Bruce the Blog with a scarf goes Bazzo.
Good evening, everybody. You're an elitist. It's an ascot.
That's right. I'm proud of it.
So it's an ascot.
Yes, thank you, Bazzo, for misidentifying my outerwear. Anyhow, welcome again to Bruce the Blog Goes Bazzo. And we immediately want to welcome our guest, Ken Festa.
Thank you.
As you saw on the screen,
Welcome,
Ken's
Ken.
official...
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Ken.
Nice.
Ken's official affiliation is New York Commercial Realty. So you know something? This is a realty show as opposed to a reality show. But actually, as you'll find out in the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking about a whole range of things that don't necessarily have anything to do with the realty market, because Ken has a very interesting background, and he's met some very interesting people and worked with some interesting people, as has Bazzo. So I guess I'm the only boring one here, but we're going to get to that very shortly.
No, you were the interesting person we met.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Bazzo.
I know how to
Yes,
do this.
thanks for
I know
sucking
how
up.
Yes, I know how to do this.
Anyhow, we always start off, Ken, by the way, with a salute of the week. So, and I do the salute of the week, and Bazzo does the Salvo of the week. And
He's the nice guy.
And one of these days we have to, change that up. But today isn't that day. So, the salute of the week goes to something, and this is, both serious and very necessary. My boss and I, and I'm going to take this moment. Of course, we're brought to you by the Penny Saver, owned by Chase Media Group, headed by Carla Chase, CEO, and by Frank Rich.
Thank you for putting up with us.
Yes. Thanks to Carl and Frank for letting us be here. Not just every week on YouTube, we're there all the time, right? Whenever you want to watch us, we're there. Anyhow, Carl and I were really privileged to represent an organization called Free Community Papers of New York, FCPNY. FCPNY is a partner in a new coalition, you might call it, that is starting to provide very vital information to seniors to fight elder abuse. And in fact, my recent column and blog is about this. I called it Ganging Up to Fight Elder Abuse.
Where can they find your blog?
Well, they could find the blog. Well, one, they could find it in the Penny Saver, and also you could find it on our newly relaunched, I guess that's redundant. It's relaunched, so it's new, ncnlocal.com, northcountynewsandviews.com, where you'll also find Bazzo's blog that gets a lot of comments. If you go there, you'll see, and maybe you want to add to your comments, and you might even want to put your name there, but that's another matter. So let me quickly just talk about the salute. This is a coalition of the New York State Department of Consumer Protection, the New York State Office of the Aging, ARP, and FCPNY. And we actually participated in a press conference that was held at this really very impressive facility in Riverdale, which is the Hebrew Home. And the particular building we were in is called the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Center for Elder Abuse. That's headed by Joy Solomon, this young woman we met who's an attorney and runs that. And elder abuse is a really serious issue. And I think most people understand what that means. It's these perverse predators who prey on elderly people and scam them, taking advantage, that they may not be fully aware of what's going on. And basically these people steal their money, they sell them things that don't exist, on and on. So the two things that are being introduced here is a senior consumer information hotline, 24-hour toll-free hotline, as well as the Informed Consumer, which is a column that will run in free community papers like the Penny Saver. So you can also go to the Department of Consumer Protection website to get more information. So we just want to salute that coalition because it really is necessary and it's very timely. Bazzo?
Well, we do have a salvo this week, and normally we pick on anonymous posters on the blog. This one I want to talk about that isn't anonymous. my recent column on no free lunch about unemployment insurance and taxes and the taxes on businesses. And she said that I'm not going to embarrass her by mentioning her name. She mentioned she has a business and she's happy to pay all her taxes. And I'm saying to myself, you're not paying anything. Your customers are paying it, and it's reflected in your prices. So don't sound like you're so altruistic. I am paying. In my business, I'm not paying. My customers pay the taxes. It has to be reflected in the price. Businesses, corporations don't pay taxes. And to think otherwise, that you as the consumer aren't actually paying all these things mandated on business, you're being very naive about the real world out there.
Okay. All right. And by the way, I have a postscript to my salute, and that is, I should give you the 800 number, which would be nice. It's 800-503-9000. 800-503-9000. Also, Secretary of State Cesar Perales was there at the event.
You were telling me on the phone.
Yeah, so we met him. That was very nice. And also, we want to mention that upcoming shows, in this order, are going to feature as our guests State Assemblyman Steve Katz,
Right.
State Senator Greg Ball, right, and Peekskill City Councilman Darren Rigger.
So as it stands now, yes.
And when Darren's on, he's going to be talking about Super Tuesday results.
Right, his show will be right after the Super Tuesday elections, when we should have a shakeout on the national scene.
Right.
Now,
and by the way, I should state the obvious and excuse my coughing, which is one reason at least I have the scarf on.
Is this your shameless promotion?
Well, yeah, quickly, and then we'll get to Ken, who's sitting here very patiently. Yeah, well, this is here for my throat because I'm trying to fight a cold with a lot of vitamin C and echinacea and green tea extract, folks.
A bottle
Try
of Jack
it.
Daniels.
Yeah, green,
if you drink
green tea extract.
If you drink a bottle of Jack Daniels, even if it doesn't cure you, you won't care.
Well, Bazzo, somehow my doctor forgot to prescribe the Jack Daniels. Maybe I should
Well,
switch doctors.
Dr. Bazzo here.
Yeah, Dr. Bazzo. Anyhow, shameless promotion segment. Thank you, Bazzo, for reminding me. And I think when we talk with Ken, we're going to get into this same area because I know where his talents and interests lie. But anyhow, I'm appearing in a play with the Fort Hill Players, National Pastime. It's the weekends of March 16th and the following weekend, March 23rd, at the Rochambeau School in White Plains. Anyhow, if you go to forthillplayers.com, you can find out more information about it. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I play a radio station owner. And I found out in the last rehearsal from the director, I'm thrilled. She said, Bruce, I think you need to have a cigar in some of your scenes. I said, I think you're right. So I'm going to have an unlit cigar, of course.
Why? Light the darn thing.
Yeah, well, okay.
They're only against cigarettes. Cigars are permissible.
Yes, that'll be one way for the play to get publicity, that I'll be arrested in the middle of the performance. Okay. Anyhow, Ken, so let's just talk first about, you said you've been in Realty for 7 years, but
Yes.
your other life, so to
Yes.
speak, is very different. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you made that transition?
I made the transition. I had gotten.
What was
gotten
your
into-
other life
first?
first?
Well, my other life, I was in the music business. I'm a
Okay.
classically trained singer, and
What,
I've
classically
studied.
trained, really?
Well, classically for stage.
Okay.
And
You
I
mean
studied
like musical theater.
Theater, right? That's the basis of the training. And although I never really went in that direction, that was what my training was. And
Right.
I had the same teacher for, I would say, 20 some odd years, who recently passed away.
Sorry about that.
And it was a heartbreaking situation, but he was an older guy, and I spent a lot of time with him. And we studied the classics, and we studied a lot of technique and so on. So I'm a classically trained singer. That's the way I put it out there.
Now, how did you make the transition from singing to real estate?
Well, unfortunately, what I was doing in the music business is a business that retires you. You don't necessarily retire it. And the way that things have changed, live music and the production of these events has changed significantly, especially after 9/11, what's happened there. I've seen a significant drop-off of that kind of venue, those types of venues and so on and so forth. And it's forced me to do something else, basically.
Don't you want to rap?
No, I don't want to do rap. I want to stay within what I love, which is American popular standards and jazz, classic music.
And you have, you were telling us you have albums that you've...
Yep, I have one CD which I've produced solely, and I have another which I'm a co-producer on, and then 2 others which I'm a guest artist on. And those 2 others were recently produced over the last year or so. A fantastic writer out of New York City. I don't know if I can mention his name.
Sure,
That's okay.
absolutely.
His name is Harry Spiro.
Okay.
And
S-P-I-R-O? Or
S-P-E-R-O.
Yeah.
But
So even though you're in real estate, you're still dabbling
yeah,
with that.
well, I get calls.
You never really leave
You're
the
never
music.
really out.
Yeah, right.
It's in you. You know,
Yeah.
it is in you. But to make it a full-time career, it's very, very difficult. You can't do both 100%. So you're either going to do one or the other. And the fact that I have that background and know so many people in the industry, I'm fortunate enough to get the calls to do these albums or voiceover. What I was actually called to do I was the voice of the Olive Garden in Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
And,
I got it up into.
by the way, I think I may have mentioned this to you. Ken and I recently ran into each other in a store, and but Olive Garden is reportedly coming to Yorktown at the Jefferson Valley Mall. So I mean, you can go in and say, "Hey, I'm the voice of Olive Garden."
I don't know if that's going to get me a free dish, but it was in Canada.
I gotta assume that being that you performed in the public,
Yes.
when you went to real estate,
Yes.
and you had to deal with the public,
Yes.
it had to, because a lot of people's talking to other people is not a natural thing. It really is a gift to.
What? Oh, so you're saying you have a gift? Is that what it is?
No, I'm saying that talking to other people is
Yes.
trying to get them
A
to
conversationalist,
Not just
right?
that, but to get them to part with money. It takes a talent. I mean, saying hello to somebody is one thing. Saying hello, hey, how would you like to spend? Like you said, you made the White Plains linen deal.
Yes.
In Peekskill.
That's right.
Now that's getting somebody to part with a lot of money.
Right.
And that's a gift.
It's a need-based situation. It's not. You're not convincing someone to really do it. I mean,
You don't think so?
I don't really think so. No.
You mean
I
they're predisposed to do it?
Yeah,
They're
I think you have business owners in our
But
case,
if you don't
commercial.
make them comfortable, they'll go find
Well,
somebody else.
that's another-
what
that's
I'm
another
talking
issue.
Well,
about.
that's like relationship
That's-
selling.
Yeah,
I mean,
in
it's a
effect,
people
right.
business. You
Right,
have
absolutely.
you have to
But
talk
you
to people.
have to have a
Right,
talent for it. It doesn't just happen.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
And I would think the transition from the music gave you a heads up over other people that go to school and then go out and start from the beginning.
I'm not so sure if it was the music as more of my personality in general, because I think that's kind of what led me to the music in the first place. And my parents were like that. We're from Italy, and they're kind of open and warm, and I never had issues with talking to people, especially where I grew up in the Bronx and in Mount Vernon. I mean, you kind of had to negotiate.
And by the way,
People
doesn't
that-
you know what I
that's
mean?
something I wanted to ask Ken. I mean, I've known you now several years
Yep.
through the chambers of commerce. If Festa, isn't it? It's feast, right?
Yeah, it
Fest
means
is feast. It's a great name.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's feast.
yeah.
My family's from southern Italy,
right.
and my grandparents came here as immigrants,
Right.
and they are the American dream.
Right.
My grandfather was one of the first Italian-American police officers, I'm proud to say.
Really?
And
Wow,
is
that-
on the
that's-
Wall of
that is
Honor
impressive.
at Ellis Island, along with
Wow.
my grandmother, Jenny. And I'm very,
That's
very
great.
pleased
That is.
to see that, because I went a visit this past year with my sister, and we saw the placard, and it was really
that's-
very
you must have
special.
gotten goosebumps
He was
seeing
a
that,
tough
right?
he was a tough bird. I
Yeah.
mean, he was a tough bird, mounted
I
police
just got
officer.
to ask you
Wow.
right now because
Yes.
I do want to get to your music. I
Yeah.
think people, everybody just carries.
Everybody
it.
connects with music.
Yeah.
Right,
But-
right.
The commercial real estate
Yes,
market,
yes.
you were telling me off screen, is
Yes.
not like the housing market. It's actually got a plus side to it right now.
Yeah, I think the commercial real estate market has several sectors. You know that some are vibrant and some aren't, and we're fortunate enough in this county to have a variety of that, like multifamily or industrial, office, retail.
Mixed use.
So we have a lot of different sectors that you can sell, and there are a couple of sectors that are on the uptick, and there are other sectors that aren't really doing so well.
But you're seeing an uptick, is what you were telling me behind the scenes.
I'm seeing an uptick in the users aspect of it. The industrial side of things is growing. I.e., we're talking about Mr. Botchman over at White Plains
Plains
Linen,
Linen,
and,
right,
and
which
I
you handled, right, yeah.
represented the sale of that building, 6 John Walsh Boulevard, and it was because of his expansion.
Right.
You know, and that's typical of what we're seeing in the marketplace for people who are users that are expanding, their businesses are growing, and that's the asset class that they're going to buy.
Now, I got to ask you a question.
That's what
on
we
this.
see.
Right.
I got to begin behind the scenes. I said about, obviously they're not having trouble getting money from banks, and he says a lot of them don't need banks. Do you think that's what's make the uptick, is that they don't have to go through the banks?
Well, I don't necessarily say they don't need banks. Banks are at the center of our commerce. I mean, we're a capitalist society, and that's what makes everything tick, the flow of money, the flow of credit. And some people are excluded from the marketplace because of the credit issues that they have.
Right.
And some people have been growing and don't necessarily need to go to a bank to get the financing to purchase what they need.
Right.
So they can use other means of doing it.
And in commercial,
and
you
in
find
commercial,
that?
I'm seeing that, yeah. I mean, there are other ways to go about it, and that seems to be an avenue that I've seen more frequently used over the course in time. I'm not going to get into the issues of the economy and the bank. I'm not an expert in that.
No, I wasn't
but,
asking
you know,
that.
Yeah, I know.
That
I know.
wasn't what I was asking.
No, I
It's the
understood.
fact that when you said that the people you deal with, more likely than not, are not going to, and I'm saying to myself, well, maybe that's why, because they're not going through the frustration that you hear
It's-
people saying, the
it's
bank
possible.
won't give me any money.
It's possible. It's
But I do
it's
hear
very
that,
possible.
by the way.
Yeah.
You hear that all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
Which that I'm not going.
People saying that the banks won't give them loans they need. Small business loans I'm talking about.
Well-
But sometimes you talk to certain banks and you hear a different story.
Yeah.
And as you're saying, Ken, we don't know the individual situations
Yes.
of somebody walking in, what your past credit
Right.
history is. There's all kinds of
Yeah,
variables.
there are a lot of
I mean, look at
variables.
me. My credit's so bad, people don't take my cash.
But they take your cab.
Yeah,
there you
thank God
go.
for that.
There you go.
Right. And then, by the way, we want to ask you a question that I think it's fair to say we ask every guest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Baz, this is a question we like to ask everybody. Did you ever meet Mother Teresa?
Yes, as a matter of
I
fact.
remember that. I think there hasn't been a show
Yes.
that's gone by where we haven't asked that question.
It's funny you
That's
should
right.
ask.
Funny you should
And
ask.
as we say, the show's unrehearsed.
That's right.
Well,
I'm good. God,
I did.
We didn't forget.
I did have a chance to meet Mother Teresa. When I was playing music, I was going to a gig on a cruise ship. And I was driving down the West Side Highway, and I was on 12th Avenue.
She was hitching?
No, she wasn't hitching.
Oh, okay.
She was in a white Toyota, and I'll never forget
Wait a
it.
minute. She was
She was
Mother
on the
Teresa
was on the
driving
West
a
Side
white Toyota
Highway.
on the
She
West
wasn't
Side.
driving.
Oh, she
there was
was,
an individual driving,
all right.
a male driver. And I was at the light on the West Side Highway. I guess that's 12th Avenue by the Intrepid. There's a light
exactly.
there.
That's right. Yeah.
And I stopped at the light, and I saw this white Toyota, and I looked over at the driver, and I saw a nun in the front and in the back with the order, the habit of that particular order. And I kind of took a second glance, and I remember this in my mind's eye, that the driver looked at me, and I looked at him, and he went, and I said, "Is that her?" And he gave me a nod like this, like,
great.
"Yes, that's Mother Teresa sitting in the passenger seat." So I'm on West Side Highway at a traffic light, and I get out of my car. I have a tuxedo on. I kneel down on 12th Avenue. She rolls down the window. I get blessed on 12th Avenue.
Like,
The traffic is passing. I can't tell you what people were saying to me. I was backing up the traffic. People were trying to get around me. You can imagine.
certainly weren't
you can
cursing
imagine
Mother Teresa.
the scene, what was going
Right.
on. What is this moron doing in the street, kneeling down?
You were needing her blessing at that
and
point.
I got the blessing. She touched my hand. I got the blessing.
what a
I went
story.
to to kiss her. She rolled up the window and drove away.
Yeah.
And there I was standing in the middle of 12th Avenue in my tuxedo, and I was like, "What the heck just happened?" I was floating.
I can imagine.
And that's a story. You can't make this stuff
Wow,
up.
no,
I was
that's
floating around. I still am.
Which
Wow.
gives us a good
Wow.
segue to your music now. You and I had a music teacher.
Yes.
I had a music teacher that compared my voice to Sinatra's.
Yes.
She said, "A Sinatra, you ain't."
when he was still alive?
Yes, when he was alive. I sound more like him now.
Yeah, I know. Right.
But anyway, the music industry
Yes.
had to be fair. You did this, in the 90s and 80s?
I started singing professionally when I was 19, and that was 1979. So I got opportunities
In
to
New York?
In New York.
So then you hit right at the crux
Well, I was on the tail end of it.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Well, I
Tell
thought-
us.
I was on the tail end of it.
Yes,
It was
right,
changing
right.
because I had been working in bands that do a lot of special events and a lot of parties and stuff like that. And it was a great training ground for a singer like me, because I'd be able to travel all over the place. I'd go to Brooklyn, Connecticut. I'd go really all these one-night kind of things.
Remember now, were these private affairs?
Some were
weddings, bar
private,
mitzvahs,
some,
that
well,
type of
some,
thing? Yeah,
some.
Right. But also restaurants or clubs.
Some,
and,
yep,
yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
Right.
I actually did. If you remember the Grotto, the famous
Yes.
Grotto.
Yeah, right.
I used to do 6 nights a week there
But-
as a
Still there,
19-year-old
it's still
kid.
there.
But
No, it's a
working-
piano
working,
on
working,
Central Avenue.
working the Red Parrot in Studio 54, that part of the 70s going into was still the main part of it. It didn't go out until really after the crack epidemic.
Well, that's
because
true.
then that's when you started moving away from what you were doing. But even the Red Parrot not only had disco, it had a big band.
I loved the
that
band.
was
Yeah,
the
right,
that
the
was
big
the
band.
uniqueness
I
of
loved
I
the
remember
band.
the Red Parrot.
the
And-
bandstand came out
I
in the
loved
It's
the
on
band.
57th Street?
Yes, but
Yeah.
that was
Great
the
band.
uniqueness of it
57, like
that
at
had
10th,
that
yeah.
it appealed to both groups.
Right.
And then,
Right.
but the Red Parrot Orchestra made 3 albums.
Yeah.
No, they
Yes,
were great.
right,
I
right.
enjoyed
Big
it,
band,
and
I
I
love
used to
that.
go all the time.
But
And
you
it
were
was
saying, again, off the screen, and that's why I like to keep people up to date what goes on when they're watching us talk. You said nowadays people don't have a place to go to fail. Would you
Yeah.
explain what that meant?
Well, for singers and musicians to really learn their craft like anything else, you have to get a show up and running.
Right.
I mean, it's a little different than just going to a place, a club, and singing some songs. That's one way of getting in front of people and
mean like
working.
cabaret?
Yeah, just not cabaret. Like, let's say you went to go see somebody, a buddy of yours, and they got a gig at a restaurant. And they went and did it, and they're going to come up and sing and so forth. And that's one way of getting up and really honing your craft, and that's the way most people start. But when you get into the cabaret setting, it's more of a show
Right.
where there is a theme and
there's patter, right?
there's patter, there are charts which are interwoven into your act, which is generally 55 minutes, which you might go see, let's say you go see a Tony Danza, for example.
Right.
Tony Danza has a scripted show. He goes
Right,
out and he
right,
does his
yeah,
show,
right.
and he sings and he dances and he plays, or Sammy or anybody else,
Right.
Sammy
Wayne
Davis,
Newton, right.
anybody.
Vegas, right,
They
yeah.
have charts.
Right.
Now that's where it all begins, and then you have to hone that aspect of it. And I don't think that there are many places that allow young artists to actually experience and do that. on a
So
regular
then what
basis.
about the real, again, you said something you said behind the scenes, the reality show, America's Got Talent, or America Wants to Sing, and you say they teach somebody to do this in, what, 16 weeks?
No, I don't think that they teach them how to do it. Bruce
What
and
was
I
the
were
phrase-
discussing.
what was the phrase
I-
you used?
I think you become we're of a society where we want everything now.
Instantaneous,
So
right.
now we're
Instant
gonna
gratification.
manufacture a singing star in
Right.
16 weeks.
That's what you
As
said,
long
yeah.
as it's
Right.
16 weeks. You got a singing star. Now, do the people have talent? Obviously, they wouldn't be on the show. Those
Right.
people who are in the panel, Simon
Knows what he's
yeah, he
doing.
knows what
Right,
he's
he
doing.
knows what he's
Come
doing,
on.
yeah.
So he knows what he's got there.
He knows what he's doing more than anybody.
Well, no, I
Despite what
give him a lot
people
of credit.
They don't like his attitude.
Do you think
the guy is
no,
incredible.
he
I
knows.
gotta ask
He's,
you on a
he's
big-
giving it to you straight.
Right,
But
exactly.
It's,
Do you
right, no,
think-
it's
that's right.
brutal, but
Do
it's
you
straight.
think these shows know the outcome before
Oh, I
they
don't
start?
I personally,
What are you saying? They're fixed?
I'm
don't-
saying that everybody, you can listen because these people aren't just coming up unknown. You've heard them, you've seen them. I'm talking about the judges. They got an instinct right away.
And Simon
well,
makes that clear who he likes, right?
Well, they
All the
know,
way
they
he's done.
recognize. You know how many people they must be seeing.
Right.
They recognize the cream of the crop,
Right.
and the cream of the crop is what you're basically seeing outside of the outtakes, which is just good TV.
Yeah, right,
when you
right,
see people
right.
that can't sing a lick.
Right.
I mean, it makes good TV.
Like when I
Unfortunate at
Right.
their
See, I watched the
shame
cooking.
and
I
expense. shame.
watched the cooking shows for this, and you could see the talent of a chef. And you say, "Oh, this one's going all the way because they've got
Right,
that."
they got it. They got that something.
Now, when you were in the music business, you
Yes.
met people. Did you know when you met somebody that had it?
Oh yeah, I've been on stage with Paul Simon and Joseph Papp, God love him. And,
Yeah, Joe Papp.
I've been on stage with giants, and you know, you kind of look at these people and you just see what they can do. It's pretty amazing.
I always,
Right.
And the fact that I've worked with people that are extraordinarily talented that will never see the light
Yeah,
of day.
that's right. Yeah.
Never. I've sat and in either studio recordings or on live performances with people standing right next to me saying, "This is phenomenal." I mean, she's a phenomenal singer, or he's a phenomenal singer.
And
And I
you
had
never
never
hear
heard
of
of him.
them.
in
Right,
1976, the deceased columnist Earl Wilson did a unauthorized biography of Sinatra, and he blasts Sinatra for an interview Sinatra did when one of the reporters asked him, he was doing that the tour at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
I forget the name
main
of
event?
it.
The main event, right.
It was the main event
That
tour.
was-
Right.
That was his
That
comeback
was-
tour.
Right.
Wasn't that the
Right,
comeback?
And that is a great video, by the way.
Yes.
I have that. I watched it constantly.
Was
You
it
know,
1980?
When it was is Rune Arledge,
77.
the whole novelty of that at the time. I mean, and it got huge publicity because he was coming back. And
Right.
But ABC, it was live.
Yes,
And
they
ABC
did live.
staged it with ABC Wide World of Sports producer and creative Rune Arledge produced it. So they did it like it was a sporting event. Remember Howard Cosell introduced
I
it.
know
the main
night-
event.
Like it was a bar. Like main
I
event.
know
And-
nightclubs
and it was
that
unbelievable.
stopped
Yeah.
their acts and their stuff in their nightclub
Right.
because this was produced live
Right.
and they had it on their TV for their customers to watch.
Right.
I remember this. But they asked Sinatra, "Are you nervous about this?" And he said, "Son, at this stage of my career, all I have to do is show up."
But you know
And
something, you
Earl-
could see when you're watching it because it was so well photographed with again, they had handheld cameras following him essentially from like the locker room through the crowd in like a boxing match, and you could see.
Right.
I mean, he wouldn't be human if he wasn't nervous. And what guts it took him to get on that stage in the middle of 15,000 people. He was naked, essentially, right? He's standing there naked.
Well,
But-
he was great.
Yeah,
But
and-
they're,
and-
He was
they're
really good.
just, but Earl Wilson blasted him. But Sinatra was right about something. When you become iconic, like a Judy Garland, Frank Sinatra, Katharine Hepburn on stage, all you have to do is show up. The people want to see you. I mean, even Streisand has to get the songs right. Even at the end of Sinatra's career, he's messing up songs. People are standing up because that's...
No, but he was a master at being able to run with it. You know, Streisand, for decades, had a famous fear of performing,
Right.
which is why she didn't perform, right?
They're just bigger than all of that.
Right.
It's
right.
amazing. People just want to see them.
Want to be in the
They're
same
just,
room.
They're
Right.
just bigger than that.
Well, and I know you said you saw Sinatra a number of times. I saw him twice in Vegas, once in his Sunset years at Radio City Music Hall.
Right.
But when I saw him in Vegas, I mean, I was sitting there with a friend of mine at a convention, and you were just totally mesmerized. I mean, he had something you can't even define.
it's
you
it's
know?
an
In your
interesting it's an
experience,
interesting question.
one
Oh,
thing,
go right
in your
ahead.
experiences,
Go
we're
ahead.
going to run out of time.
Okay.
Who's the most exciting performer you've witnessed or you've been with?
Who I've witnessed.
Or been with? Who would be the most exciting
I would
performer?
say Sammy Davis.
Oh, wow. Oh, I love Sammy Davis.
That's a show.
No argument.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh,
What a
my
talent.
God.
Right. Natural talent.
That's just an explosion of talent. You know, the thing that I think about is you were talking about these icons.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the icon 30 years from now? Who now is
Yeah,
going
it's a
to
great,
have that
thought, Ken. Right,
staying
right,
power?
right.
Think about how long.
And on
who's
that
people-
note, we got to On
I
that
mean,
note, we got to wrap it up.
Well, just
Okay.
quickly,
We'll leave you with that
yes,
thought.
I know, but staying power. You got Whitney Houston died, Michael Jackson died,
Oh,
no
boy.
staying power.
Oh, my gosh.
Then
Okay.
that's staying power. Anyway, these were my opinions. You may beg to differ.
And when Bruce the Bog listens, people, including Ken Festa.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken. Talk.
My pleasure.
Thanks for watching,
Thank you.
everyone.
And that's
Thank
still
you.
an ascot. I wear a scarf.
Okay.